So I'll be moving on to the next speaker. Please enough some minutes. Thank you. So I would like to call the next speaker. I'm sorry, Dr. Kasulu. I know that this is not the time for your lecture, but because Okechukwu is not here, so you will be speaking now. Please bear with me. So our next speaker is Emmanuel Richard Kasulu from Department of Philosophy, University of Malawi. He will be speaking to us on generative AI and the fragmentation of community, challenges to interdependency and solidarity. Please speak to us, Dr. Kasulu. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to make this presentation. I should say that I am not yet doctor. I am about to do my PhD. So yeah. All right, I believe you can hear me. I would like to share my screen for my presentation so that we can all follow. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Not yet.
All right. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Thank you. So this is my presentation on generative AI and the fragmentation of community. I'm actually focusing on the challenges that generative AI systems pose on their Afro-communitarian values of interdependence and solidarity. I have divided my presentation into 3 sections. In the first part, I will briefly discuss what generative AI is all about. And in the second part, I go through the basics of African communitarianism, Afro-communitarianism, particularly focusing on the values of interdependence and solidarity. And in the final part, I demonstrate how generative AI is disrupting these Afro-communitarian values. So the first question is, what is generative AI? So in short, we can define generative AI as all those AI systems that can generate content, be it text, images, audio, video. And we see that what we currently have with the current generative AI systems was something that was only imagined somewhere in the 1940s, 1950s. So in the 1950s, for example, Alan Turing posed the question whether machines can be regarded as intelligent. And during that time, that question seemed preposterous. There were some people that argued that it is not possible for machines to be intelligent. So Turing suggested what is now referred to as the Turing test. So his understanding was that if machines get to such a point where we can interact with them and they can give us feedback, and from the feedback that they give us, we are not able to tell whether it is human generated or machine generated, then we can confidently say that the machines are actually intelligent. In 2024, we are at a moment when it's very hard to distinguish content generated by AI and content that is generated by human beings. So we can see that there has been so much progress in AI, and in particular, in regards to generative AI. And because of its abilities to generate content, audio, and images, so many people, including many in Africa, prefer to use AI in so many areas of their lives. That's why this presentation actually tries to find out if these generative AI systems do have an impact on the Afro-communitarian values. And in this second part, I am just going through the basic ideas that we find in Afro-communitarianism. So, for example, in Afro-communitarianism, one of the ideas that is espoused forth is the idea of interdependence. And there's also the idea of solidarity, collective responsibility, the idea of harmony, respect for elders, and so many other ideas. So there are a number of theories that have made significant contributions on the subject of Afro-communitarianism. I have cited some there: Menkiti, Masolo, Jeche, Wiledu, Kapagawan, and there are so many others. Despite the fact that they do present different ideas, specifically on Afro-communitarianism, but the basic point that they all show is that one of the fundamental characteristics of Afro-communitarianism is that it promotes interdependence and also that it promotes solidarity. I have singled out two statements from Mbete, which actually characterize what Afro-communitarianism is all about. The first one, Mbete says, "I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am." This is a very significant dictum in Afro-communitarianism because it suggests that individuals understand themselves as a part of the community. So the community is very fundamental to the shaping of the life of an individual. And Mbete also says that whatever happens to the individual happens to the whole group, and whatever happens to the whole group happens to the individual. This is very interesting because when we get to think of it in detail, this means that if you are in an African community and you are in trouble, you expect other people to come to your aid. And you also feel obligated that you have to be there when others are in trouble. So Afro-communitarianism, in general, we can say that promotes this sense of solidarity as well as this sense of interdependence, that members of the community always have to be there for each other. There has to be unity, there has to be harmony in the community. But now with generative AI, we see something different. I have particularly singled out ChatGPT and the Google Gemini out of the other generative AI systems that are there because of their ability to create text. So they have this interactive platform where an individual can give a prompt and can get feedback. To give an example, in the 1960s, there was a program by the name of ELISA, which was created by Joseph Weizenbaum. This program had features similar to ChatGPT, though it was not that sophisticated. It was quite limited in terms of the data that it was trained on and the things that it could do. And it could barely sustain conversation. But strangely enough, even with ELISA, what happened was that some members of the community got addicted to conversing with ELISA. So they treated ELISA as a psychotherapist sort of friend. So someone has a problem and then they write something to Eliza and then wait to hear what Eliza would say about how that individual should go about their emotional challenges. This was way back in the 1960s. But now with ChatGPT and Google Gemini, individuals can write very complicated stuff uh, on Google Gemini or on ChatGPT to do with the challenges that they have. They can seek advice. And it turns out that because it has been trained on vast amounts of data, ChatGPT or Google Gemini can provide what may seem plausible explanations. So for someone who is going through, for example, some marital problems, instead of going to meet fellow community members and ask for advice, they can simply go on ChatGPT and then give a prompt. So they can say that I am going through these particular problems. I'm a married man. Can you please provide some suggestions that can help me to go through the problems that I am experiencing? And ChatGPT or Google Gemini can provide some plausible answers. Now, I'm arguing that this tendency for individuals to prefer artificial forms of interaction through generative AI actually undermines the very fabric of Afro-Communitarian values. In the Afro-Communitarian society, individuals are expected to seek interaction with fellow community members. So if you have a problem, a challenge, you want to deal with it, you approach the elders of the society or maybe other people who are wise enough to give you counsel. But nowadays, what is happening is that people feel empowered by the opportunities that have been brought forth by generative AI systems. So they would rather open up to a machine and get feedback and then move on by the feedback that they have been given by the machines. So my argument is that generative AI is actually disrupting this important value in Afro-communitarianism of interdependence. It is reducing the need for face-to-face interaction by increasing individuals' reliance on technology. And sadly, this leads individuals to fail to develop deep connections with fellow human beings because they're spending so much time with the machines. So the first point there that I am advancing is that generative AI is disrupting interdependence as well as solidarity by limiting human interaction. The second point I'm arguing is that with generative AI, what is happening is that community responsibility is undermined. I have cited one of the popular Chewa proverbs. So the Chewa are people from Malawi. And one of the popular proverbs among the Chewa is that Motu umodzi susenza denga. So the English translation would be one head cannot carry a roof. So the idea here is that of collective responsibility. Individuals have to always remember that they are part of the community and they don't have to feel so overwhelmed every time they're facing challenges. They can go to the community. The community is always there for them. However, generative AI is promoting isolated as well as self-centered behaviors by encouraging people to leverage the creative and interactive components of AI to sort out what they may think are problems that they're facing in their lives. The final point that I am raising is to do with norms and values. Just as with any other kind of technology transfer always goes along with the transfer of values. And I'm arguing that ChatGPT, as well as Google Gemini, just as well as the other generative AI systems, they are trained on globalized datasets. The datasets they are trained on are not culturally specific to Africa or maybe to African societies. So what happens is that when an individual gets counsel from generative AI, what is actually happening is that the advice or the counsel that they get is in a way also promoting certain values of the societies from which the particular data that the AI system is presenting forward was trained on. So there could be several arguments that I could have raised, but I believe that these three ways of categorizing the areas in which generative AI is actually disrupting the Afro-Communitarian values of solidarity as well as interdependency capture broadly how this disruption is actually happening. So I guess that's all I may have to say on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Kasulu, for this beautiful lecture.